watch the hell out, you know. And Jimmy's the same. Jimmy was a flow player.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, that's what I meant by extreme positivity. If everyone is on the air listening right now,
Yeah, just a little cue on the warm up.
I am Justin Yeo, from Puerto
Pre-street.
Rico, renowned whatever coach, and Shaun Boyce from Go Tennis in Atlanta.
You gonna do our intro for us? I like it. We're switching it up, people. Switching it up
Shaun Boyce with the same T-shirt every week. I
every
don't know if he
week.
watches it.
Every week. Just said there's no uniform except I wear the same T-shirt every week.
Yeah.
Someday, every tennis player at the end of their match is going to say, "Nice match. You played well. May the courts be with you." That's going to be it. It's going to be a thing. I'm making it a thing.
May the courts be with you.
May the courts be with you. That's what it's going to be. But good morning. This is Tuesday morning, sometime during the year. We don't even know because I don't have a Santa hat on or there's no 4th of July celebration. Nobody knows at all what's going on because when you rewatch this, it doesn't matter. I was going to put a little Santa hat on the, where is it? This
Right there.
Wait, hang on. I can do it right there. A little Santa hat. All right, maybe next year. But yeah, we're coming to the holidays. My name is Shaun Boyce. We are talking with Justin Yeo, world-renowned tennis pro in Puerto Rico from Australia. And I am with the Atlanta Tennis Podcast and Go Tennis Atlanta. We are in our 10 minutes of tennis. This will be our last live of the year. Super excited. I love saying that. Super excited to have this conversation today. And I would say maybe I'm overly excited. Am I too excited? And in that case, am I wasting my energy? Oh my gosh, what a transition. Justin, since I'm talking about wasting energy. Yeah, see what I did there? All right, no, it's one of those mornings. All right, so Justin, the topic today in our 10 minutes of tennis, and we only have 10 minutes, so I will stop running my mouth so you can run yours. The extreme positivity. We all know that positive body language and confident self-talk is a good thing. There's a fist pump, there's a let's go, it's there. But some ask, and I would even ask, I'll pose to you and say, some of these players are overly excited at times. And not just overly excited in that Jimmy Connors once a match gets all jacked up and excited like we were talking about earlier. But every point that they win seems to be the greatest thing that's ever happened to them. And my question to you is, can that become a waste of energy? Or these guys just never run out of energy? They have an infinite battery at 25 years old? Or is it really just a thing that maybe more like Novak, get all excited, but then once you get back to that next return of serve, get your act together?
Yeah, well, we can't correlate an amateur or a developing tennis player or anyone compared to Jimmy Connors, Rafael Nadal, and Novak Djokovic.
I did give some decent examples, didn't I?
I mean, you're coming up with some pretty solid mental ability examples who know what being jacked feels like and can seem to still how to manage it. But the concept of being over positive or extreme positive, of being jacked all the time, can actually have reverse effects. If everyone can study this a little bit into the science, which now we are into the science part of the sport, you know, where players are understanding their heart rate and where their premium heart rate is. If the heart rate's too low, then possibly errors happen, footwork slows down, mental perception, cognitive, all of that stuff changes if the heart rate's too low. On the other hand, if the heart rate's too high, which usually at the end of a long point or a big jack, you know, come on, fist pump. If it goes too high, the brain sends a message to the body to slow down. So when we're too jacked or too positive, the signs have shown in graphs that commonly people will either make an error or they'll make a silly decision or things will slow down after a big point. And so commonly, I mean, the best player I've ever seen that continued to play well jacked is Rafael Nadal. But if we notice his patterns, he's extremely good at going after a short point to one corner for the towel, one towel. If he has a long point, he goes to both corners and gets two towels. And advantages of that is that he's taking a little bit longer to allow the adrenaline and the heart rate to come down back into a spot where he's optimally going to play the next point well, because you're only as good as winning the next point. If you can be in a big point and get jacked and we lose the next two, well, then what was the big jack point worth? You know? And so you used a good example before we came on air was Roger Federer. Roger Federer would stay calm, but mainly because if he got jacked, he didn't like the way he presented himself. So he used to be a racket smasher. I mean, people don't remember that because he wasn't on national TV doing it that much. And then he started to figure out that if I don't keep myself here, then that's the possibility that can happen. So Mr. Cool, Calm, Collected, the biggest legend we've ever known, yes, he had issues and he had to keep himself here. So he would only get pumped every now and then. We wanted him to be pumped more because he'd hit more winners, I felt like. But unfortunately, he knew where his range was. And if he went too far, Jack, he felt it was hard to control the adrenaline, control the negativity, control the pressure. Some people like the pressure and some people just don't. Obviously, because we're seeing a lot more racket smashes. The racket smashing, again, people don't understand that it's just a release of pressure. Patrick Maritoglou talks about that all the time. It's just a release of pressure. And it's the first thing they look at. It's the first thing that happens and it comes out, you know. Now, it's either that or you're going to hear a big, you know, the beep on the camera, which they know they can't do. So they do it the other way, you know. But anyone understands that pressure. You know, as a junior, as an adult, the juniors have more pressure than adults, as far as I'm concerned, because there's this, you know, don't disrespect your coach, don't disrespect your parents. Your parents have just done all this stuff for you. Careful, you do this, all the kids, all your peers will look at you a certain way. So the juniors have a ton more pressure. And they're going through the roller coaster themselves of teenagers. So
and they're not as good at, they don't have the practice. And Federer went through that teenager thing and he figured out and said, I can control myself, but if I'm a 12-year-old, I don't have the practice of managing myself, but also cognitively understanding. I know I can't say for a fact, I want to say, I know 100%. Nick Kyrgios does the math. When he goes to smash a racket, he knows what it's going to financially cost him. And he decides if he can afford it before he smashes that racket. A 12-year-old doesn't have the concept of what is this going to cost me?
Yeah, cool. I mean, sorry, I'm laughing, but, you know, Baghdadis said, well, if I'm going to get fined on one, I must do them all. So he got his value money on that one because he was like, well, I'm just doing them all. Screw this.
Get your money's worth. Absolutely.
He did the tin cup, you know, he smashed every club and says, all right, I got one left. It's my 7-iron. I'm going to win with this one, you know, so.
And that's the opposite, because that's the release of pressure on the, I'd say, extreme negative energy to be able to let it go. And that's that one thing that can, I say this to my wife a lot while we're watching tennis, and she just looks up and goes, why does he have to smash his racket? And I said, you watch, he wins the next 3 games. Because he needed to let that out. And it's going to cost him, 10 grand or whatever the fines are these days, but he's going to win the next 3 games. You watch.
If it cost him 10 grand and he wins 50 on the match, I mean, do the math, ROI, baby.
Worth it.
You know, and then he's got all the pressure of sponsors and everything else. But going the other way, we're talking about extreme positivity. I've seen sometimes parents and adults and kids, you know, bouncing on their toes the whole time. There can be a lot of energy that you're trying to get things going. That's cool, but find a point where you're trying to get the rev. And then just as the point starts, try to find yourself down and feeling the power into your legs again. I find that people, once they start bouncing and bouncing and bouncing, they're actually quite vertical when they're hitting the ball instead of staying down. And so extreme positivity, too, can draw a lot of energy. And if you're already fatigued and the fatigue is what's causing the negative energy, then being extremely positive can wear that down even more. So you've got to find ways of just staying positive, but the word calm is still a big one, because you've got to stay in the zone, or where's all this energy going? It's not going to any good for you. So I'm constantly talking to the kids when I was in junior development a lot, that you've only got 3 levels of mental state. The first one is, second line, it gets higher. By the third one, you almost have to go and shake the player's hand, because there's no recovery from that. So I say that positive is absolutely the way to go when you're playing tennis, and you're always trying to keep a very strong perspective, but just be careful not to take it up too high, and understanding that every time you win a point, if there's a big fist pump, I find teenagers especially, or kids growing up, need to be careful where the hype happens, because if it's on a double fault, or faults in between, or the player dug it out and they just missed the last ball, just be careful where the big hypes are, because it will also represent you as a player that's just not very respectful of the other player and their efforts as well. So
along those lines, I got one question. We'll go 1 minute past our 10 minutes.
Okay.
I got a question from Instagram that says, is there not another way besides, now we're not talking about the positivity, we're talking about the negativity here. Is there not another way besides smashing your racket to let out that negativity, to release that pressure? There's got to be another way.
Yeah, I mean, we're not
teaching kids to go smash your rackets to release the pressure.
Well, there is another way, and that is you step into the court, play a little more extreme, and just try to get some of that pressure out into the ball. I used to say that to the kids all the time, because maybe you're going to blow the next game anyway, because you just can't seem to get it out. So why not use it? Use it to your advantage. Like, step up on the service line, take a few returns right off the bat, and come to the net and see if you can just get some of the pressure out by being erratic a little bit. And it might turn the whole tide around and you use it to your advantage. The other way is to go all the way back, go 6, 7, 8 feet behind the baseline and just swing almighty and try to get release of that pressure by actually hitting a lot of balls. And
I like that. Maybe that's kind of a Rafael Nadal kind of scenario where he's punishing himself physically.
Right.
Without smashing her, because Nadal really did smash a lot of rackets. Yeah. And he would step back and just say, you know what? I'm going to make myself miserable playing the next game, and I'm just going to hang back here and torture myself. I'm not getting any code violations. I'm showing the kids you can do this without smashing rackets. Because that really is the point of the question coming in from Instagram. Like I said, we've got to have another way to do this.
And Uncle Tony's not going to smack me on the bum afterwards for misbehaving. So
exactly. There we go. Justin Yeo, thank you so much. This has been 10 Minutes of Tennis. We will see you guys next year.
2023, 2024 to come, guys. And we're going to keep it going. We'd like to hear more engagement. Come on, guys. Throw us questions. Let me know what you want to hear about, because I'm still connected to a lot of people all around the world and love to hear more of what we can do.
We'll get the answers. I like it. Thanks, Justin. Have a great rest of your year.